Namaste. I am Dr. Manoj Gumbar. Today I will be discussing about living with corona, the need of the hour. We are all in the middle of an epidemic because of this coronavirus. And the most common question asked in this corona times is, after lockdown, can we go back to our normal life and do routine activities? The answer is no. Because corona infection will continue to be an issue for 6 months to 1 year approximately. Now again, if you ask me, after lockdown, can we go back to our new normal life and do necessary activities? This time, the answer will be yes. But obviously we'll have to learn to live and work with corona around us. You and me are all surrounded by coronavirus. And the margin of error is very narrow. This fight against coronavirus between human beings and virus, who is going to win? The winner will be alertness level. As corona is alert 24/7 by probably 365 days. But if you and me remain alert 100%, corona will not win. But because of our laziness or tiredness, if we do not take precautions properly, the virus may win. So all preventive and protective measures should be taken to minimize the risk. Before I tell you about the preventive and precautionary measures, I'd like to tell you about what is coronavirus, what is the new normal, what is the change required at home and at office, and I'll discuss about mobile hygiene and COVID, and oral hygiene and COVID, and obviously I like to tell you something about which will strengthen the pillar, that is the mental health, to fight against this coronavirus. Obviously, when we learn to live with coronavirus, we can always work with coronavirus. Now, regarding symptoms of COVID infection, the most common presentation in 70 to 80% of the patients will be asymptomatic. And the most common symptom will be fever and cough. Patient do present with shortness of breath and complaints of excessive fatigue. And patient can present with just headache, sore throat, diarrhea and CV stroke. Now, how to differentiate COVID from routine flu? As such, there are no specific clinical features that yet can reliably tell you this is COVID and this is flu. But loss of taste and smell are present in 30 to 50% of the cases of COVID, and this is very specific for COVID. Another symptom that can differentiate is development of breathlessness. But this symptom of breathlessness occurs 7 to 8 days after the onset of symptoms of COVID. So this should not be taken as a differentiating point between COVID and flu. Now, when to suspect COVID? In this epidemic, the classical definition has to be forgotten. Any person who presents with cough, fever, and if you add shortness of breath to these symptoms, then definitely the patient should be tested for COVID-19. By classical definition, he should have a history of travel or a residence in an area reporting high local transmission of COVID-19 disease during the 14 days prior to the onset of symptoms. And next is, if any healthcare worker who is a corona warrior right now develops symptoms, that person has to be tested for COVID-19. Now, what is contact? Suspect was a person who already had symptoms. Contact is a person who is absolutely normal, but he is a person living in the same household as COVID-19 case. A person having a direct physical contact with a COVID-19 case or his or her infectious secretions without recommended PPE or with a possible breach of PPE. A contact is also a person who was in a close environment or had face-to-face contact with a COVID-19 case at a distance of less than 2 meters. Now, regarding the size of the virus, the droplet and aerosol. Whenever we speak, cough or sneeze, particles come out of our mouth and nose. If the size of the particles is less than 10 micron, it is called aerosols. And if more than 10 microns, they are called droplets. The size is very important because it decides how much the particle is going to travel. A droplet cannot travel beyond 2 meters, while an aerosol can travel up to 10 meters. Along with the particles, along with the droplets or aerosols, in an infected person comes out the virus. The size of the virus is just 0.06 to 0.14 micron. The size is important because this decides how many hours the particle will remain in the air. If it takes the form of an aerosol, it can be suspended in air for 3 hours. And if the particles take the size of a droplet, it cannot travel beyond 2 meters. Now, regarding the viability of the virus. Low temperature and low humidity favors the viability of the virus. Overall, the survival of the virus in aerosols is 3 hours. On plastic, it is 72 hours. On cardboard, it is 24 hours. On stainless steel and in plastics, it is 72 hours. Now, how does this virus spread? The most common form of spread is person to person via droplets. Whenever these droplets come out of the mouth of an infected person and these droplets are inhaled by a person who is within 2 meters of that infected person, there are very high chances that the person coming in contact with the patient will also become a patient. The virus cannot multiply of its own. He needs a host to multiply, and it enters into the body of human beings via ACE receptors. These ACE receptors are present in the nose and the nasopharynx. And that is the reason the transmission is more via droplets and not via aerosols. The next form of transmission is the droplets coming out from a patient's mouth or nose contaminate any surface, and if this infected surface is touched by another person who then touches his face or mouth, then the virus can go and multiply in the nasopharynx and this transmission of the disease can be increased. But I'll again say that majority of the transmission is via person to person, via the droplets. But one more form of transmission, especially in hospitals, is via aerosols. Usually these aerosols get generated during certain hospital procedures like intubation, chest compression, suction, bronchoscopy, upper GI scopy, but they can be generated at home also. Even while speaking, coughing and sneezing, almost like 50% of the particles are aerosols. And this increase if you speak while eating, if you have a loud laugh, and if you do forceful breathing exercises. Now, a patient is most infected 3 days before the appearance of symptoms, and he can transmit disease mostly 7 days after the appearance of symptoms. And is most infective 1 day prior to the onset of symptoms. And the disease can be transmitted by asymptomatic carriers too. But majority of the disease occurs via patients only, and especially sick patients admitted in the hospital are very infectious, and that is the reason the healthcare workers are prone to get infected. Now, by this time, we all know that 70 to 80% of the patients will be asymptomatic. 10 to 15% patients will have major complications or moderate complications, and around 3 to 5% patient will expire. The factors deciding the outcome of COVID are, the risk factors are age more than 65 years, presence of comorbidities like diabetes, hypertension, IHD, that is heart disease, chronic kidney disease, obesity, cancer. All these comorbidities not only increase the chances of infection, but they increase the chances of complications too. In case of transplanted patients who are on immunosuppression, the quantum required to produce a symptomatic infection is very less, and the chances of complications are also very high. Similarly, in case of healthcare professionals, just because they have to deal with sick patients, the quantum of exposure is more, they have a recurrent exposure, and that is the reason healthcare workers are prone to get infected. Coronavirus for the first time has infected human beings. So as such, nobody has an immunity against the virus unless he or she gets an asymptomatic or a symptomatic infection. But still, due to our policy of BCG vaccination at birth, Indians have a better natural killer cell activity as compared to countries who have abolished this BCG vaccination. And that is the reason, if you see, the number of deaths expected in India and the number of complications expected are still less than what we had expected. Next is exposure. Both the quantum of exposure and the recurrent exposure to the virus is also important factor, whether you will have symptomatic infection as well as whether you will have a complicated infection. Now we have already crossed the stage 1 and stage 2, that is the persons who have, stage 1 is a person in which only those persons who have traveled to a foreign countries get infected. Stage 2 is a person who comes in contact with these persons who have traveled. We have crossed these 2 stages and we are in a stage of community transmission. That means we do not know actually who is infected, who is not infected. But as far as taking precautions is concerned, I will suggest that you look in a way that everybody is infected and I have to take the precautions in a manner which I should take, believing that everybody is infected. Now regarding the medical tests, RT-PCR is the gold standard for detection of coronavirus. There are other tests also, but the sensitivity and specificity of RT-PCR is better as compared to other tests. RT-PCR should be done 5 days after you come in a contact with a person or at the time when you develop symptoms of COVID. 2 samples are taken, one from the nose and one from the nasopharynx. And the sensitivity of RT-PCR is 70%. That means still 30% of the patients suffering from coronavirus will not be detected by even RT-PCR. And for this reason only, either you can straight away go to a CT thorax, HR CT thorax, or repeat an RT-PCR after 3 days. If 2 samples taken 3 days apart are negative, then only you should say that the person is COVID negative. HRCT thorax is a good modality. In fact, the sensitivity is even better than RT-PCR, but it lacks specificity. The usual duration of an RT-PCR test is around 6 hours to 24 hours. In case of emergency cases, when you don't have time to wait to the results of an RT-PCR test, you can very well go ahead with an HRCT thorax, which is almost 95 to 97% sensitive. The serological tests are to detect IgG and IgM antibodies against the virus. Detection of IgG and IgM are usually not used to detect whether the patient is infective or not. This will suggest whether you have come across or whether you have been exposed to the virus or not. If you are IgM positive and if you have symptoms, yes, you may be suffering currently from coronavirus. But if you have just IgG antibodies, that means in the past, either you had asymptomatic exposure to the coronavirus or a symptomatic exposure to the virus. All patients who are IgG positive may not have the neutralizing antibodies, but we are expecting that when the exposure is almost like 50 to 80% of all Indians, a herd immunity will occur in us and we will get rid of this virus. But right now, serological tests are not used for diagnosis purposes. The next is antigen detection tests. This test takes 30 minutes. The nasopharynx samples can be taken and it can be detected, but whether the person is infected or not. But it lacks sensitivity and specificity and is inferior to RT-PCR. So right now we are doing RT-PCR only to confirm whether the patient is suffering from coronavirus or COVID-19. Now, regarding any prophylactic medications, we have one hydroxychloroquine as prophylaxis. This is a very good drug for pre-exposure prophylaxis, but obviously it should be taken under the supervision of a physician or a cardiologist. Persons having cardiomyopathy, rhythm disturbances should not take hydroxychloroquine without supervision of a cardiologist. And we should always keep in mind the drug interactions with hydroxychloroquine. Patients on immunosuppression, that is tacrolimus or cyclosporin, and patients of persons taking HCQ should not take azithromycin, because this will prolong, QT prolongation will be there, and there will be a chance of cardiac problems. To summarize, hydroxychloroquine is a good drug provided it is taken under the supervision of a cardiologist or a physician. Now, regarding the general measures to be taken to prevent coronavirus. First is maintain social distance of 2 meters, hand hygiene, avoid touching face, eyes and mouth, not to shake hands with others, avoid coming in contact with people who are having respiratory symptoms, follow cough and sneeze etiquettes, wear a mask, do not spit on the floor, follow no touch policy when you come out of your house, and you should lead by an example and ask others to follow preventive measures. Now, if you ask me, which is the most important of all these things, as such, all of them are important. But social distancing is one measure which is very, very important. Now, why social distancing of 2 meters is very important, I like to explain to you this. Because when we normally breathe, we exhale the particles, but these particles do not go beyond 1.5 meters. But when we cough or when we sneeze, the velocities are more. That means almost these particles come out at a speed of 10 meters per second while we cough and 50 meters per second while we sneeze. So these particles can go beyond 2 meters. And that is the reason, even if you maintain a social distance of 2 meters, you should wear a mask. Because you do not know the person standing within 2 meters of distance can sneeze or cough anytime. So you should be wearing a mask even you maintain a social distancing of 2 meters. This is what is the benefit of, this slide shows the benefit of using a social distancing and mask together. Now, as such, the curve of an epidemic is like this. But if you use social distancing and mask, it's almost like the curve will become like this. That means precautions together, social distancing and mask, can reduce the transmission by almost 50%. Now, regarding the structure and susceptibility of the virus, this virus has spicules on it which are sticky in nature, and they stick to the crevices of our hands. That is the reason we need a foamy layer to eradicate them, and at the same time soap destroys this lipid layer. And as far as susceptibility is concerned, the viruses which are having lipid layers, they are not very much resistant to any chemical methods. So only soap and water and a sanitizer which contains 70% alcohol is sufficient to destroy this virus. The next precaution is follow hand hygiene strictly. WHO has given the highest importance to hand hygiene of all universal precautions. In case of coronavirus, you are supposed to wash hands with soap and water for 20 seconds. And if soap and water is not available, use a hand sanitizer with 70% alcohol. If hands are visibly soiled or dirty, better use soap and water. Avoid alcohol-based sanitizers just before working with electrical appliances and gas stove. And my request is follow hand hygiene strictly and keep the duration in mind. Just keep in mind the picture of this slide. This is a dirty hand. If you just wash it with water for 6 seconds, practically 60 to 70% of the dirt is still there. But if you use soap, even for 6 seconds, then obviously 50% of the dirt is gone. But we want the 100% result. So, when we use soap and water for 20 seconds, practically your hands are sanitized completely. So, it is my request for all of you to just keep this picture in mind when you next time use soap and water to get rid of coronavirus. The next is respiratory hygiene and cough etiquettes, which consists of covering of mouth and nose while coughing or sneezing, hand hygiene after contact with respiratory secretions, and maintaining a safe distance of minimum 2 meters. Ideally, better to avoid coming in contact with a person who has respiratory symptoms. Usually we cough in our hands, but nowadays we should cough in our elbow. And in case you cough in your hands, better use a paper napkin or immediately sanitize your hands after you cough or sneeze in your hands. Looking at this slide, I remember one story. In fact, everybody must have heard this story, but let me revise it. There was an old farmer who had 5 sons, and these sons were constantly fighting with each other. And the farmer was worried, what will happen to my sons if they fight like this? So one day he decided to teach them a lesson. He gave a stick to each of them and asked them to break it. And in fact, each one of them was able to break the stick. Now, the farmer asked to take a bundle of 10 sticks together and break them. None of the son was able to break it. Similarly, friends, if we take one precaution of social distancing and do not use mask, do not follow respiratory etiquettes or cough etiquettes, then there are good number of chances that corona may win. But if we follow all of them, social distancing, sanitization, wearing a mask, not to shake hands, not to hug each other, then corona will not win against us. Similarly, all of us, Hindus, Muslims, Sikh, Parsis, Christians, should come together to fight against this coronavirus. Now we know all the preventive and precautionary measures, but to implement them into routine life is a task, but it is easy, and that is called new normal. What should be done in this new normal at home? Do not use a mask unless somebody is infected at home. A helper coming to your house, allow her or him, but maintain distance. Check his temperature or at least ask about the symptoms of COVID. Immediately when they enter the house, ask them to hand wash with soap and water, and use of mask is must for them. Preferably order online, and while receiving deliveries online, deliver them outside the house. In fact, you should open them outside the house, throw away the cardboard box, and bring in only the material which you have ordered. Do not speak while eating. Make payments online and use net banking transaction. I will suggest even consult a doctor online. And only if the doctor suggests that your face-to-face presentation is must for me to take a decision or to prescribe you medications, then only go to the hospital or a clinic. Now, the measures to be followed when you are out of the house is, this time you wear an appropriate mask, and in fact a well-fitted face mask is must. Use 2 pairs of sleepers, preferably one a washable one. Carry a small bottle of hand sanitizer with you. Carry your own washable cloth bag and ask the vendor to put items directly into the bag. Carry plastic buckets to buy vegetables. Do not use public lift. Do not use the staircase. Use phone payment, touchless payment for money transaction. And when you visit an ATM, clean the ATM keyboard with a disinfecting wipe before you use it. And even after using that keyboard, sanitize your hands. When you come back, do not touch the door preferably. Ask somebody at home to open the door. Remove your slippers and shoes outside the house. Place your keys, purses in a separate washable container, and sanitize your hands with soap and water. If you are a healthcare worker, preferably take shower immediately and wash your clothes with soap and water. Wash your slippers too. As such, the spread of infection through currency notes or newspaper is very less. But some people still have the habit of counting the currency notes while using your saliva. And that is the reason I'll suggest, whenever you use currency notes, iron them. And iron them on both sides. Now regarding office etiquettes. Before you enter your office, educate the staff. Each and every member of the staff should be educated about coronavirus and the precautionary measures required to combat the situation. Wear mask and perform hand hygiene before you enter the office. Preferably use a face detection for attendance. Use infrared gun for temperature detection if feasible. Records of all persons visiting the office with mobile number and address should be taken. Ask the person whom he wants to meet in the office at the reception, and preferably have one-to-one meeting in a separate chamber. And the most important is to be intellectually honest with the symptoms of coronavirus and a history of exposure to any contact with a positive patient, Because if you are not being intellectually honest, and if you have symptoms and you do not declare it to anybody in the office, then obviously everybody in the office is susceptible to get infected. While you are at the office, maintain social distance. No handshakes. Not to shout. Not to speak while eating. Not to do and allow spitting in and around the building. I will suggest that all employees in the office should undergo an online test and procure an e-certificate, and preferably aim for a corona prevention Pentomath batch, which we are going to give you after you appear for an MCQ test. Regarding clinical procedures during COVID at home and at office both. Wash vegetables and milk packets with baking soda and water. Keep the packed items for 72 hours aside before start using them. Wash bed sheets and towels frequently with soap and water, and all metal items should be cleaned with either a sanitizer containing 70% alcohol or with soap and water. Regarding floors, you can use detergent and water to clean them, and if you have any person who is infected with COVID-19, then after using detergent and water, preferably use 1% sodium hypochlorite to clean your floors. Doorknobs, lift items, hand railings all over the premises should be cleaned frequently. Preferably keep a matchstick and toothpick sticks in the lift. Keep a dustbin to avoid touching to the buttons of the lift. I will suggest not to use a lift man, because he will definitely get infected with the persons using the lift. And if he becomes infected, then he'll become super spreader for others. The next is mobile hygiene. In a recently published literature, almost like 40 to 60% of the phones were found to be contaminated, and 10 to 90% of the bacteria were Staphylococcus aureus, and they were drug resistant. 10% of the mobile phones had virus, including coronavirus. And this virus can be alive on phone for almost like 9 days. We are the second highest users of mobile in all over the world, and they are one of the most highly touched surfaces and a unique surface also, because it comes directly in contact with the face or mouth even if hands are properly washed and clean. Now, what is the solution? Use disposable or washable transparent polythene mobile phone covers. Use headphones or headsets, and not to share your mobile phones, headsets and headphones. Now regarding oral hygiene and COVID-19. Toothbrush can harbor bacteria, blood and corona. Poor oral hygiene can spread contagious disease like COVID. One should replace the toothbrush every 3 months, but during corona times, replace them more often, as worn out toothbrush may be more infectious. The next question is, are gargles effective in eliminating coronavirus? Let us see. Saline gargles soothe a sore throat, help in flushing of oral cavity, but they cannot stop virus entering into the respiratory tract. Listerine gargles kills 99.9% of the germs, but the germs causing plaque, bad breath and gingivitis only. They are not intended to prevent or treat COVID-19. Gargles containing povidone iodine are effective against both bacteria and virus. The most versatile oral gargle is Colgate peroxide containing 1.5% hydrogen peroxide. The problem with using gargles is that one thing, most of us do not use the proper gargle method, and second thing, any gargle will not be that effective in eradicating the virus because the saliva flow will potentially replace the virus immediately. Just to show that the Listerine gargles are not effective against the coronavirus, the betadine gargles are effective, and the most effective is Colgate peroxide. The next is how to disinfect your toothbrush for COVID positive patient. You can dip in 0.5% hydrogen peroxide for 15 minutes, rinse under hot water for a few minutes, or even boil your toothbrush. This epidemic has disturbed our normal routine life, and this has led to an increase in psychological problems. Obviously, a slight cough can create a sense of doom amongst people. Exaggeration of the current situation in the media often leads to a panic-like situation, and the compulsions to stay at home can be difficult. Anxiety disorders have increased, and the persons who already have anxiety disorders, there is an exacerbation of symptoms. Patients of obsessive compulsive disorders do find a difficulty because advice on improving personal hygiene measures might increase the contamination obsessions and washing compulsions. Lockdown was a major stress threatening the normal routine, social rhythm, and thereby it has increased the stress levels and thereby it has increased the depressive disorders. The suicides have increased because of fear of infection, loneliness, lack of freedom of movement, and alcohol withdrawal. The solutions to these psychological problems I'll suggest is avoid excessive exposure to media coverage, do deep breathing exercises, stretch or meditate, eat well-balanced meals and exercise regularly, take adequate sleep and follow good sleep hygiene, avoid alcohol and drugs, try to do productive activities like taking up a new hobby, improving fitness, reading, yoga, and doing aerobic exercises. Keep mind diverted and prevent negative thoughts coming in mind. Recognize the things which are under your control and do not worry about things which are not in your control. Share your concerns and how are you feeling with a friend or a family member. Maintain healthy relationships. Maintain a sense of hope and positive thinking, and check how realistically you are viewing the situation. You may be physically divided, but mentally be united. Say no to alcohol. Alcohol helps to cope with stress is a misconception. It is known to increase the symptoms of panic and anxiety disorders, depression, and domestic violence. It weakens the immune system and reduces the ability to cope up with infectious diseases. And in fact, heavy use of alcohol increases the risk of ARDS, one of the most severe complications of COVID-19. To summarize how to maintain or optimize your mental health, I'll suggest sleep for 7 to 8 hours, eat balanced diet, maintain hydration, avoid alcohol, stay in touch with others through digital media, thank God and meditate, have patience, stay positive, enjoy music, watch movies, read books, and stay away from COVID media. Many people ask me what to eat to increase your immunity. I'll suggest eating alone is not going to improve your immunity, but follow all the things which improve your mental health. Your immunity will be better. Kids are at home for the last 3 months and probably they will remain for the next 3 months. So it is very, very important to take care of them. Provide your child with clear information about the pandemic in order to reduce anxiety and fear. Limit the use of social media and news. Family time and activities should be given a priority. Involve them in a household chores like cooking, cleaning, gardening, serving food, cleaning utensils. Allow them to be in touch with friends or classmates through phone or online media. Teach them social distancing, hand hygiene, self-hygiene practices, but obviously leading by an example. Engage them in activities like crafts from waste papers, dancing, singing, board games. Make a daily timetable and ask the child to follow it regularly. Schedule the study hours preferably during the school timings. Engage your child in some physical activities and exercise with the help of online videos. Keep children close to their parents or caregivers. If there is a need to be separated, make sure that you have a regular communication with them. And encourage your child to learn some new activity daily. Now, regarding elderly people. Elderly population or elderly people are at high risk for COVID. There is an increased chance of complications of COVID and increased mental stress too in them. Proper preventive measures should be taken not to expose them to the virus, not to move out of the house, not to allow them to go out of the house unnecessarily. Proper care, communication, access to information, and due respect should be given to them. Quick seeking of healthcare facilities should be taken. And always there is some blessings in tough times, and we are blessed with some in this corona era too. The increased time and involvement of the family members in day-to-day activities have given a new living experience for the children of this age. Mothers teaching the children to cook, fathers spending quality time with kids. Communication among family members has increased, family activities have increased, and the nature is celebrated. Now, regarding the lessons learned in this COVID-19, continuous lockdown is not the answer. Traditional methods of living were hygienic and immunity boosters. Health is wealth. Prevention is better than cure. Cost of living is not expensive. It is the cost of lifestyle that is expensive. Spending time with family is a way to de-stress, in fact, for the whole family. Yoga is good for both physical and mental health. We can be Atmanirbhar if we wish to, and the new normal is actually not new, it is in fact old normal. If we go through this slide, I have used 3 colors. One is white, the other is black, and the other is yellow. The white ones are which we routinely follow. We follow hand hygiene, we follow cough etiquettes, we used to avoid going out unnecessarily, we always used to say namaste, we never used to hug each other, we never used to shake hands. Our diet was good. We never used to have outside food. We used to make a list of the things which we used to buy, which we had to buy. We used to meditate. We were positive because we were connected to each other in a better way. We always used to use soap and water for cleaning. We used to take care of our father and grandfathers, and most importantly, we were very health conscious. The only things which we have added in this new normal is wearing a mask, which will be temporary. But right now, please wear it whenever you go outside. And shopping online and online payment is the new thing which we have added to the old normal. And obviously, maintaining social distance of minimum of 2 meters is obviously a new thing to us. But still, it's not that difficult that we cannot implement all these things in our day-to-day life. Now, I'd like to tell you one more story. Once upon a time, there was a king facing an epidemic in his kingdom. It led to a crisis situation and many people died due to the outbreak. The king took all measures to control the situation, but nothing worked. He became sad and prayed to God to provide relief. God heard the king's prayers, and a voice came from the sky saying, "O king, if a bucket of milk is poured by every member of each house in the old well on the new moon night, then this epidemic will end." The king immediately ordered that a member of each house should pour a bucket of milk in the well. On the new moon night, when this ritual was being performed, a clever and a miser woman thought, everyone else is going to pour milk. What difference will it make if I pour water? Thus, she secretly poured water instead of milk. The next morning, the epidemic did not end. And the king was in a dilemma as to what went wrong. He rushed to the well to have a look at it, and he was surprised to see that the whole well was full of water. The king realized why the epidemic did not end. Friends, we are all facing the same situation today. We have to follow the rules and regulations of the health department, that is, social distancing, wearing mask, moving out only if necessary. But the thought process is similar to the old woman's thinking. So if you want to stop this COVID, each and every one should take precautions and preventive measures religiously, and thinking that my attitude matters, and it definitely matters. All of us respect Corona warriors, police and defense personnel. Keeping the efforts and sacrifices of them, we all take a pledge that I, Dr. Manoj Gumbar, from today will follow all preventive and precautionary measures and be a part of the fight against coronavirus, and will continue till I eradicate the coronavirus from this motherland. A special thanks to the healthcare workers and officials, police department, technicians and nurses, and to every person who is protecting himself or herself by taking necessary precautions. Dear friends, tough times do not last, but tough people do. We all will celebrate soon. Just be patient. And let's continue our tradition. Namaste. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay strong. Thank you.